Yeah, Mark, just a run through of injury team news ahead of the Burnley game, please.
Major doubt is Ryan Shawcross, still troubled a little bit with his calf. Been out with the physios this week. We'll see how he is today, but he's probably the biggest doubt. Glenn Whelan has been trained the last couple of days, so he should be okay. Jeff Cameron's still unavailable. Gobasi clearly still not available, progressing well. He seems better, but he'll be a number of weeks still. Jack Butland is playing this evening for the under-23s, so we hope that goes well. So if he does, then we may get one more game into him, and then he should be back.
I imagine you've got a few selection dilemmas, given the fact that most of your side play pretty well at Watford.
Yeah, nice situation to be in, to be perfectly honest. The guys that came in last week changed things around, changed personnel, changed formation, and it went really well for us. And everybody who played, you have to say, to a man, were excellent on the day. So it will be hard if I make not wholesale changes, but a number of changes. We've got guys coming back. Joe Allen's obviously available again after suspension, so there may be changes, but I think it shows the value of the squad that we've got and the depth we've got. When everybody's fitting well, we look strong, when we look competent at this level. But whichever way I go, clearly if people miss out from last week, then that'll be a disappointment for them. But I think it shows that it's a long, hard season, and you need everybody. And credit to the guys that came in; they were ready, they were physically able to have an impact, and that's what you want.
How pleased were you with the players at Watford? There was a deliberate game plan, and it seemed to work very well. It denied the midfield of Watford getting the space they needed to
yeah, I think it probably took them aback somewhat. I don't think they were expecting that shape or where we placed players. I think probably they were thinking that we were going to go 4-4-2 maybe. So the three at the back just knocked them on the heels somewhat, and certainly in the first half it took them a while to understand what we were trying to do, and in that period clearly we scored the goal that won the game. So it worked really well. We had to stand up to a different challenge in the second half with long balls and big guys up front, but we did that part as well. So all in all, very accomplished away performance.
You kind of had many games where Charlie Adams gets the headed winner.
No, I don't think he scored too many headed goals, to be perfectly honest. Not sure why he felt he needed to say that he fouled somebody in the build-up, because that happens in the box when you're trying to protect your position. But it was a good header, textbook, headed it down, made it difficult for the keeper, and the keeper couldn't keep it out. So yeah, really pleased clearly for Charlie for that to go, and he's been playing well of late.
What have you made of Burnley this season? Obviously very strong at home, but just 1 point away.
Yeah, they seem to have more of a problem away from home, which is understandable, because it's very difficult to pick up away points on your travels. We've experienced that in previous years. We've probably become a little bit more adept at being able to get good results and good performances on the road, but it was a struggle initially when I first came to the club. But that happens. Sometimes you can set up to be solid and plenty of people behind the ball, but if you concede a goal, then it's difficult to get out of that mindset and start to chase a game. So maybe that's been a problem, but I would imagine they're constantly looking at that and seeing what they can do differently, because obviously they haven't been able to pick up as many points as they probably would have liked on the road. So they may well come with a different plan, somewhat possibly like we tried last week, just something different, something to shake up the opposition. So we've got to make sure we're ready for that.
There'll be a meeting of two British managers, which is becoming increasingly rare in the Premier League these days.
Yeah, we're in the minority at the moment. It is what it is. Obviously the Premier League's a world league. It's not just an English league or a British league. So I think the percentage of British managers in the Premier League is not going to change anytime soon. I think it will remain a constant, we hope, but as more clubs change hands and go into foreign ownership, then clearly that's had an effect on the appointments of managers and coaches, and the opportunities for British managers become less, unfortunately.
Well, at least you'll get a handshake this week.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah.
1 defeat and 8 for you in the Premier League. Do you feel your players are now back in the groove that you hoped you'd see them start with?
Yeah, we're back on track, really. Stand the year, we look at what realistically we can pick up in terms of points, and we're probably where we thought we would be. We acknowledged before the season started that we had a run of fixtures that were going to test us, and that was the case. We didn't acquit ourselves too well, probably in less games than people think. We had difficult fixtures. We probably had one really poor performance against Crystal Palace, but we were certainly in all the other games that we were involved in. But since that day, we changed things around, changed personnel as well, and now we've gone on a decent run. It was important after Bournemouth last 10 days or so ago, 11 days, that we bounced back from Bournemouth. We were disappointed with obviously the result in that game, but we've done that very quickly, which we normally do, in fairness, so it'll be good to get back on track at home.
And not too long now to the January window. What areas will you need to be strengthening, bearing in mind you're going to lose 3 players to the African Cup of Nations as well?
Yeah, we've looked at that. I think January is one that you have to be careful with. You can sometimes pick up players that will have an immediate impact for us, and we've had examples of that in the past, but you can obviously make mistakes as well, pay dearly for them, so you have to be careful. We'll, as we always do, we'll go into a window with the view that if good players become available and they're within our means, then we'll try and actively pursue them and bring them to the club. But it's very difficult in January, and we've got players coming back as well. Hopefully Ibrahim Afellay will be available after Christmas, so that will be like a new signing for us as well. So we'll see what's out there. Sometimes it's possible to bring good players in. January it's more difficult to do that.
You've been linked this morning with a Lille player, Salihu Mete. I know you don't like to go into details about players, but I mean, have you anything to say about that?
No.
Okay.
No, it's we've got a lot of people at a lot of games, and if people find out that you're at a game, they assume that you're watching one individual player when quite possibly we're not even looking at that player. So it is what it is. We've got an eye on good players. We always will have that, but that's not one that's been flagged up to me.
Very positive week for Stoke, but Otmar Hitzfeld of Switzerland and Bayern Munich X says he hopes Shaqiri won't stay long here because it's an unexciting club. What do you make of those comments?
Well, maybe he needs to come to the game of the weekend and experience the game at the stadium and see the excitement and the energy in Premier League football and in Stoke football, and I'm sure he'd enjoy it. He's speaking from maybe a place where he doesn't understand the Premier League, or maybe hasn't experienced many games of the Bet365, so open invitation to him to come and enjoy it.
Shaqiri's pretty happy here though, is he?
Absolutely, yeah, he loves playing for Stoke. He loves the Premier League, so he's doing very well at the moment, and you don't do that if you're unhappy or not happy within your surroundings, so maybe you should have spoke to Shaq before he came out with that comment.
Just one final question from Sky. Gareth Southgate appointed with a psychological profile as well. What have you made of that decision as a proud Welshman?
I think it's really important. I think not only for England, I think it's important that an Englishman gets a job, but for the coaching setup in this country. There's been a huge investment in St George's Park. There's the obvious one, but there's a big push now to bring good coaches through, and I think if the top coaching job in England was given to a foreign manager again, I think that sends completely the wrong message. So I'm pleased for the coaches in England and Britain that the FA have seen fit to give it to one of their own.
You're not too worried about the psychological profiling? You think that's a normal process for sort of top level management jobs?
I think it's a process some companies use, and and it's been seen to work, and you can get an insight into the individual that you're contemplating bringing to your company. But I've experienced it in the past. It's not an issue.
Thank you very much.
Folks, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well done.